speed of Melbourne this afternoon. Scott Jeffrey to get us underway in the sunshine at the MCG. And the rucks go out at Jamar on the way down, flicked it down, falling to the ground. Kennedy, what a fine season he had last year. Ditto for Jack. He kicks it out towards the wing. Mark is taken by Jones. In the shadows, darts out of the shadows. Beautiful kick, a centering one. Well played by Smith. Got a fist on it, knocked it away from Marriage. Goes on and applies a tackle. In there is Smith. Got boot to ball down towards half forward. Sumner goes after the footy. Was that in the back? No. Jamar, McDonald. Now Green breaking his bail. He can get this and run. Dunn needs to go back towards the square. Bale goes to the pocket. Dunn on the lead. Jarrah's there as well. Off hands and out of bounds.
Already Kennedy started the game well. Got the first clearance. He is just becoming one of the most important midfielders in the competition. Had 15 clearances in one of the practice games over the break.
Third and the best and fairest in his first year at the Swans. And they can do that at the Swans, can't they? They just recycle players. They are so successful with holding the footy.
Give it a reasonable attack. You just hold it there like that, giving it these ones.
So that's against Marrick. And now McVeigh gets it from Bevan out wide to O'Keefe.
That's going to be a great matchup, isn't it? O'Keefe and Green, yes.
Two left footers, both at similar stages in their careers.
Both really capable of going back and playing in defence as well.
Had the big hernia operation, O'Keefe, in the summertime. Sumner forward. White goes to ground. Can't quite get it up. Free kick though. So Sam Reid that was. So young Reid only played one match last year. That was in round 22 against the Lions. So he's got a 100% record. McVeigh, not quite Maloney. That's the old tug-of-war game at school.
Reece Shaw's gone to Davey too, so it looks like he's going to just shadow him all afternoon. Often Melbourne obviously try and release Davey across that half-back line. They're not going to give him any easy, free, cheap kicks today.
I think that last call was sometimes you're in possession when you're not in possession. There's Sylvia. In trouble again this week. Bartram taken high will get the free kick. He's an emerging player, Bartram.
Been a really good lockdown defender for Melbourne.
Yeah, and getting better. Whoops. Grimes, terrific season. Last year. Yeah, well, it's good to see we haven't lost our touch. He's coming up a terrific season. He's lost his with that kick. And Goods. Awkward pocket for a left footer. You'd expect this ball to go left to right. But he's such a talent. Who knows? Adam Goods. Steps to the boundary line. Sets it on its way. And just misses.
That kick then from Grimes is really uncharacteristic of him. He generally really possesses the ball well, which is why they like to free him up as that player across half back. Maybe just a little bit of nervousness in that kick.
So Bale to tap Scott rather. First game, eh? Straight down the middle. That's a long kick and a good touch for him early to get around. Grundy, Richards, wide. McGlynn had the helmet on the last time he played on this ground in the semi-final after the eye socket injury late in the year. So Sumner, so a couple of early touches. So one debutant for both teams today. McVeigh's long ball, Goods at the back of Grimes, and a boundary throw in. What about Goods? What a player. He looks as athletic now as he did when he started. He's played 259 out of the last 262 games the Swans have played. Injured a couple of times, suspended once. His durability is amazing.
Bartram emerges with a football. Touched off the boot. It wanders up towards the wing. Smith is a clever player. Did well there. Grundy. Now Everett sends it out wide. Metres in the clear. McVeigh. Now he's a long kick. He's about 65 metres out.
Great kick. No
length required there. It was all about precision. And McGlynn has got this ball about 25 metres out.
And that's all about concentration too. Dean Bailey will be straight on the phone to his midfielders saying, OK, as soon as the ball looks like turning over, you need to make sure that you pick up your direct opponent or get one of those dangerous midfielders. McVeigh is one of the best midfielders in the Sydney side, and you would not want to be giving him that sort of space this afternoon.
McGlynn, like Kennedy, an ex-Hawk, and he comes and kicks the goal. Missed a bit of football last year, but he was very good.
You just need real pressure on that kick that's coming into the 50, and Melbourne just had no player anywhere near. Look at the space here that McVeigh, who's one of the most dangerous players in the Sydney side, as I said, had then to deliver the ball. Bartram's a long way off his direct opponent. He's got the lockdown job this afternoon on McGlynn. That's how highly they rate McGlynn. We saw him start last season in a blaze of glory. He was just so energetic in their forward line.
So beautiful bit of play by McVeigh, and the space Tim talked about with McGlynn. Kicked 5 goals in round 2 last year against the Crows, McGlynn. Cut them up.
He got in behind the defences early in the season, then he got injured, and but he was a real find for them early.
Holding! That's Sydney, free kick.
So their best and fairest from last year in Jack. Straight down the guts. Tap's got underneath. Oh, good mark. Not so friendly fires that. Grimes from the side, but Tap's got a couple of good moments here. Now Green's a magnificent kick on the run, puts the ball inside 50. Watts at the back of Richards. Richards did well, maybe a mark. I think he might be half stiff there.
Yeah, there's the ignorant from that fight. He got really good position then against Jack Watts. Just moved inside him, took his space.
Struggled last year, Richard. Only played one of the first 14. He really needed Roberts Thompson to get injured to force his way back in. But he's right at the moment. O'Keefe, not quite.
Trengove goes to ground. Reid over the football. Getting in solidly was the skipper Green. The hand pass not effective though.
Oh, here we go.
O'Keefe, the long ball down towards right half forward. This time McGlynn's away. Goods is on. And he's in the same position almost that McGlynn took the mark. Didn't take the mark, knocks it to his own advantage, goes in and gets the goal. Something's happening at right half forward, and Melbourne are very unaware of it.
Well, that was just too easy again, and we've already spoken about how McGlynn actually got in behind defences last year, particularly early in the season, and he had that much space again, and just a simple finish there by Goods. But Bartram has started on him. He actually got sucked up into the play. Perhaps he thought that there had been a rotation, and then McGlynn just slipped out the back, but they'll be keeping an eye on that, Melbourne.
Yes, well, you can see Jack Grimes and Ben McGlynn there. Ben McGlynn started very well, but the reason being Jack Grimes is trying to come third man in on any marking contest, and Benny McGlynn realises that and has been too smart, and he's been able to come out the back both times.
So the Swans off to a fly here with the first 3 scoring shots. A couple of goals. Maloney down low.
On his feet, my ball. No chance.
I think it finished Grimes too. He wasn't feeling the best because he got hit pretty hard.
He did,
in a marking contest just a couple of minutes ago, didn't he?
He did. 25 possessions, Sydney 14 Melbourne, so they've got plenty of the ball, the Swans, at the moment.
Sylvia doing a bit of ruck work at the back. So the D's go forward for one of the few times in this match today. So Grimes.
That was a kick in hope. It was a 2-on-1 there against Jack Watts. Their best hope this afternoon, because of the size of their forwards, is to make sure that they get the ball in there really quickly. There's that heavy clash there. Tapscott already shown a bit of class and a little bit of talent in the early part of this game.
And a good example of what Dennis talked about, that third man up. Bolton got it from McGlynn. Rowan straight down the centre. Done that a couple of times. Martin getting back. Reid. Well played by Sumner to nearly get a hand in there. Tapscott's been impressive. 3 bits of play have been good. Garland out wide. Now Melbourne have got one on here in Watts. Can Grimes get it to him? I think so. And Watts, who yesterday celebrated his 20th birthday, so he has the same date as somebody very famous sitting alongside me as a birthday boy, Dennis.
Yes, Bruce, that makes him, what is he? He's an Aries and a leader, and he got that one on the lead.
Happy birthday, Dennis.
Life mirrors art.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Suddenly I'm a Jack Watts fan. Well, I was all the time, but now he's #1 in my book. Towards the outer side, Garland tracks it to the wing. Very deliberately places it on the boot. Trengove takes the tumbling mark. Just getting better and better, this guy. He's out at left half forward. Looks to the middle. Spots Martin. Needs to get it to him, and he does. He was surrounded by Swans, but he took the mark. Grimes free as a result of those guys going to Martin on the overlap. Rivers to the pocket. Not really the best spot for it. Chopped off by Jarrett. Did well to snare that ball. Hand passes to Dunn. Oh, and Dunn, well done, snaps a goal.
Well, that was a freakish gather then from Liam Jarrah. Richo spoke about the talent. Just watch this again really closely, because he had no right even to gather the ball and then swing his way out of a tackle. The tackle didn't stick, getting it across there to Dunn, who we know often plays that defensive forward type role. But he's one of those blokes who does play that role, actually can still kick goals. But this guy just has so much natural talent.
So that rare talent from Jarrah. He was having a cuddle before the match, you know, Dunn. We caught him having a cuddle with his 7-week-old little boy, Emmett. Just outside, yeah, just outside the rooms. It was a beautiful touch. Lara, his wife, and
Emmett Dunn.
That's it.
Wow. 1980 Richmond Premiership player. Sense of history.
So
the plot.
It's lovely to be there, Dan. McVeigh's kick. Oh, good grab. Reed. 3 demons around him.
I reckon that's where they're really susceptible to this Melbourne defence. That quick, direct, high kick. Shows some talent, this kid. He's still a developer, and we know that the big, tall kids, skinny kids, they take a little bit of extra time. But I like what I saw during the NAB Cup a couple of times in the way that he approached his footing. And they've got high hopes for him.
His brother was a revelation last year, wasn't he? Ben Reed going back. And that's a good kick. Swans doing well here. 3 goals to 1.
So Reed's going to play one of those tall targets in their forward line alongside Adam Goods, who's been down there. But the Melbourne defenders just lost complete sight of where that ball was going to drop. And as Bruce rightly said before about his brother, I mean, he's taken a little bit of time to develop, and you have to be more patient with these types of players, but he really does show something.
So that interesting setup in the forward line there, Tim, with it all the way down the spine there with the Swans.
Umpire McBurney, one of the most experienced. And a good bounce too. Jamar decisively. Brilliant. Got it down to Sylvia. Kicks it inside the forward 50. Watts was up. Knocked away by Matner. Well done, O'Keefe. Gave it back to Matner. He was claimed. Hanbury in there. O'Keefe with the right boot. Only as far as Green. Smothered by O'Keefe. Ricochets out to Marriage. Marriage misses his man Green. Green on the ground did well to Watts. Smothered off the boot there by Everett. Goes back to Marriage. Whipping hand pass over the top into the path of Green. Strong tackle by Matner. Got him down. Jarred the footy loose. O'Keefe got it from Hanbury. Kicks around the outer side. And the mark is taken by Tapscott. He's been impressive. We've said that a few times. Burley customer goes across the ground. His first kick in this game, therefore in AFL football, was to kick it in. Bartram, beautiful kick, lobs it to the 50. Now, normally they talk about decision makers kicking it in. The club must regard him like Socrates. If the ball is knocked out of bounds, it will have a throw in. So trying to make something out of nothing there, Sylvia, demanding too much of Jarrah. Boundary throw in.
Just have a look at this tap by Jamar. Just a beautiful bit of ruck work. That's their first centre bounce clearance today, Melbourne. That's why he was All-Australian last year. Again.
Kennedy tried to rove it, and then Trengove, back it goes, and then Martin getting a hook on it, but a behind. It's interesting with the Demons. They had 2 in the All-Australian team last year. Only Geelong and Collingwood had more. It was actually interesting. Right down the bottom, they had some starry players.
And they weren't the younger, more developing type
Frawley and
players.
J-Mo. Kick out wide, it's not a good result.
Hey, 1 metre, please. 1 metre, Heath.
So, from the birthday boy from yesterday. Number 1 draft pick.
Yeah, that's fine.
From a couple of years back, Jack Watts.
When you said that, I jumped up, Bruce. I'm self-absorbed.
Well, you're our number 1 draft pick, so it works out beautifully. Kicks right to Martin in the goal square. Jamar not quite Bale. Smother was a good one. Bolton out of play.
I think it might have been Diana Ross's birthday yesterday too, Dennis.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
You would have been a fan of the Supremes, wouldn't you?
Favourite song, Reflections. I was doing a bit of that yesterday. This sounds like it's set up, doesn't it? Throw it in. Falls behind. Jamar hooks it down.
Wow.
Jetta. One on either side this afternoon. Grundy back to Jetta. Now breaking towards that Bermuda triangle for Melbourne is O'Keefe. He wants it out in front, but Jetta enjoying himself. The wind whistling in his hair. Jetta from the wing. Well, it wasn't a good kick on the end of it. He just put it up to a contest, but Reid will make it okay. Slips it away to Goods. Goods is tackled. Hand passes forward with the outside of the boot. Everett. What's he done? He's kicked a goal.
So you've got to love Jetta. This is Jetta obviously running down the wing, but the bit of play across half back out of the stoppage was really the bit of play that set this up. He got moving. O'Keefe was on. He decided to keep carrying the ball. He's probably one of those players who gets the licence just to keep carrying the ball. He's so quick. He's a good decision maker for a young kid. In the end, they had a little bit of trouble here getting it out, but good finish from Everett.
Gee, Tim, every time they go forward, they're scoring, aren't they, at the moment?
Yeah, they're getting it in there and they're scoring easily, and that was one of the strengths of Melbourne last year. They're the hardest side to score against once you actually got the ball into their defensive 50, but hasn't played out that way in the early part.
So 4 goals to 1. And the other thing last year, they got burnt off, the Swans here, but Jetta's pace, so important a moment ago. Jamar's kick to the forward 50. A good pickup by Martin. Handball down low, high tackle Sylvia. So Sylvia, does he attack the goal? He does. It's a good-looking kick. It's home. He's a talent, isn't he? I was going to say special. I just want to hang on to that for a little while. It's too early.
He's a real talent. John Longmire was seeing him in the coach's box there. He's been actually on his own a couple of times across half forward Sylvia. That was a great pick-up there by the big fella Martin. And then it was Kieran Jack there that just went too high with the tackle, Bevan. Might have been Hanbury, sorry, that went too high with the tackle. Too high with the tackle, but this bloke's got a lovely foot on him. I reckon he developed last year into one of the more elite type midfielders in the competition. He's got enormous power through the trunk. He's got good hands.
There's nothing more dangerous than a bad high five. Richo.
I'll tell you, there's a really interesting matchup here in the wing. Aaron Davey for Melbourne hasn't touched the ball yet. We know how dangerous he is when he gets the ball in hands. Reece Shaw doing a terrific job. Could be a new role for him, a run with role.
Well, Aaron Davey didn't start on the bench, but I saw him coming off the bench, so he must have been off very quickly after the start of this game. Bale gave it out to Bartram. He kicks it down towards half forward. Melbourne looking better now. Dunn kicked their first goal in the shadows, drives it long. Bartram with the run. Up he goes. The timing, though, belonged to his opponent. Well done by Matner. In fact, that was Bennell with the big leap. Pardon me. And it's out of bounds.
Good crowd, beautiful day. Quite warm, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Mumford. Well done, Shaw.
Ooh.
And then Goods.
Oh,
Gee, Richards good down low. It was a lovely trap. And then Rowan controlled the leg.
That was so important, that trap then from Richards. It was a worm burner to the kick. A dangerous kick across goal. Had to stick.
So Reed's had a good start. Here's Sumner.
Jamar's been really good too, Bruce. He's been good at the centre bounces and round the ground, but he's also had 3 possessions, so his work when the ball hits the ground has been impressive. Mumford yet to record a possession.
And they both came off stellar years, didn't they, last year? Sumner just unsure and then puts Grundy under the pump. They're in trouble here now. They're gone. Oh, advantage, Merrick. It's a behind. Well,
You elected to take it.
that's exactly right. You elected to take it, and that's the rule.
He's pointing to his ears, though, so he didn't hear him.
Bolton. Everett to the wing and Goods. Getting in behind the defence. Hanbury this time just needs a lobbed ball in front. Well, he's gone for Reid, hoping that Hanbury can crumb it, but that didn't work out either. McDonald, that was well defended by Melbourne, but they were helped by Sydney. Coming away, the ball driven up towards the wing by Tapscott. On the ground there was Jamar, did brilliantly. Tapscott runs on, gathers the football and drives it towards half forward. Going back is Dunn. Dunn hurriedly onto the boot. Now here's a chance for the D's. Bounces obligingly for Marriage, goes to Green, gets the goal. Terrific. It started with Trengove at half back and ends in a goal.
Well, that's reminiscent of the way they played against Sydney here at the MCG last year, where they really dragged them wide, they opened them up. It was a free-flowing game, exactly the way that Sydney don't want to play, but they forced them to play that way. They had a lot of options when they went forward. There on that occasion, Rowan just tried to play the 2 players, couldn't get to the first play, and then Green just finished it off pretty simply. So they're fighting their way back into this game, Melbourne.
That transition, Tim, from one end to the other, which Melbourne was so successful at in the second half of last year, weren't they?
And it really was. I mean, Dennis called it correctly. It probably should have been a half kick to Hanbury, who was free. He went to the 50-50, and then they got the turnover.
So good sharking by Kennedy. So against Tringo.
Stay out of the mark. Stay out with your man. He can go with his man. That's fine.
So Jack.
Yours.
Straight down the centre again. Grimes. Well, he read it better than Garland. But Garland, it is a high tackle.
Just relax, guys. There it goes. Jack, take it. So there, good job.
Don't go high.
Move it on.
Actually, that's worked against Melbourne then, because they had 3 players. Now Sydney have had time to go and pick them up, although they found another one here deep in Garland.
So you've got to be happy with Tapscott's first quarter.
They are extremely excited about what he might be able to produce over the next decade.
Taught by the Jarman brothers at North Adelaide Footy Club for a while, and then Daniel Healy. Down to you, Richo.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about our coaching's changed and they come down to the bench. Well, Dean Bailey's almost taken it to another level. He's right up off the bench. Every time a player comes off, he's in their ear having a word to them. He just had a good chat with Aaron Davey, who's just come back on the ground.
Thin line between Kearless and Callis. Bolton right on it there. Bennell did brilliantly. Gave it across to support from Bale. Green, well, rendered useless on the ground, so the ball is crumbed by Everett. Pops it back to the wing, didn't walk. Martin goes up, claims it. Davey, lucky to get away there, slipped out of trouble. Looks back towards the middle. Nondescript sort of kick, but it bounces obligingly for Tringo. Finds his way through. Selected the right option too. Dunn goes long. Jarrah will fly from behind. Forced to spoil, knocked it down in front. Smith did well. Releases Rowan. Now Rowan's away towards the outer side. Where will he go? Splits the indifference. They both thread away from him. He's had a couple of bounces. A third, a fourth. He runs to 55, sets it up. McGlynn in position A. Does he get a free kick? No. Play on's the call. Tapscott. Normally we see a free in that situation. Sydney fans holding their breath, no whistle. Martin just jabs it towards Davey, spills the mark, and it's out of bounds.
Geez, exciting stuff, isn't it, though? End to end. There's some...
He's got some pace, Rowan, hasn't he?
Well, Rowan and Jetta give them something, don't they?
They do.
They give them leg speed, which I think has been a big problem for a little while.
Look at that, Tapscott. 7 possessions already in his first game. He's been excellent.
Holding on, Sydney, Josh Kennedy. Advantage.
Oh,
Well, okay, so that's
Got to be news to Kieran Jack.
so Kennedy now. Not a great kick. This young fella's playing a quarter to remember. Done. Now Davey, they've been able to get him into the game here, Melbourne. Cleverly, lovely kick. Bennell just tucked it under the arm. Davey run down, little push in the back perhaps. Merrick had it taken off him. Hanbury fumbled from Rowan. Bennell arched the back, looks for options, has to give it away in a hurry. Dunn's been good. High tackle maybe McVeigh. Ball comes out. Good stuff. Competitive footy here. Melbourne have been winning the contested possessions of the last 10 minutes. It's on behind the play as well. McVeigh getting tangled up. Demons come out with it, and McDonald belts it forward. Green's outnumbered. Oh, drop mark coming from Grundy. Ball back from Richards. Matner's away.
Looks to the outer side. Well-weighted kick into the path of Everett. Right on the defensive 50. Jabs it short of the wing. Goods on the lead, takes the mark. Plenty of voice here for the Swans this afternoon. Round as you'd expect. A sea of red beyond the fence. Doesn't tell you a lot though. Big jump there from Jamar. In the back surely to McGlynn. He'll get the free kick. Rivers, another North Adelaide boy, who's talking about their first game out in Sumner. Rivers has been a good servant of the Melbourne Football Club. Until now, he gives away 50. So it wasn't Jarrett. He remains a good servant.
By the other umpire, so it's 50 metres.
constant battle with injury simply because he plays with a fearless attitude. He's standing the mark now, helpless against what happens next. Kick is good from McGlynn. He puts it through. He's got his second goal.
Well, Sydney been good in this first quarter. They lead by 11 points. They probably should lead by a little more. The last two chances they've had to open up Melbourne. And I reckon this might be the story of the day. If they can't find those targets inside their attacking 50, or they choose the wrong option, or it's a skill error, that's playing right into the hand of the way Melbourne want to launch their attacks. They were the best side in the competition last year from really deep launches from their defensive part of the ground, and they really hurt sides. So they've just got to be a little bit careful with the ball, Sydney.
So the horse, John Longmire, been at the Swans for 9 years, and now the senior role, Dean Bailey. Richo talked about just an impact that he's having today, and big year for Dean. Tim talked about at the start of the match, 4th season of the club. Bolton belting forward, good kick, and Reed's been impressive, hasn't he?
He reads the ball off the boot really well.
Well,
Takes the front position. I reckon that is the best time for a forward to actually take the front position, a stoppage like that.
Right in front, make your own angle.
So he's well named, Tim, mate.
You're on your limit. Right there, Jared. Thank you.
Here goes
half
Reed.
a metre behind that divot. That's where you are now. Yep.
I reckon Tim will get that in the second quarter, Dan. You know, when you start footy at 15, you can slow up when you get to Tim's age.
It's a study in concentration. He's just in the zone.
I'm still trying to work it out.
So it's a behind.
And David to bring it in. That's an interesting kick. Dropped by Reed, who's going to get a free kick. In fact, it's Bolton who'll get the free.
Fell on his back. It's a free kick.
That was the weirdest kick. It was like a guy just down the park.
You landed on his back. Jude,
Not sure what he was doing. Almost reckless. Kicked it directly to this man, the veteran Jude Bolton. So a chance to extend the lead. This one out to the right, though. Goods trying to work past a couple of defenders. He was blocked. Well done by Garland, and the ball goes through for a minor score, so no real damage. And Davey entrusted with the job again.
Safety first wide. The pressure now on the Garland kick.
Move it on. Play on, play on.
He goes down the line. Sylvia at the back. And Rowan at the front. Sylvia wins out. Just can't find any space. Trengove almost in his road. And then back to Trengove. Back to Bale. And then Bale to a one-on-one. Martin held his ground pretty well. Matner helped out Grundy. Well played. Little gift to himself by Sumner. Finds it again. He's had a moment or two of shakiness, but he's been good. Kicks to a very, very dangerous spot for both teams, I would have thought. Jones, Jetta lurking. Cut off by Kennedy. Still with Kennedy. Reed kept his eye on it. Davey got involved. Jones fetches it back. Strong through the core. Well done, McDonald's handball away. Waiting for it was Bartram, was cut off before him. Ball still hasn't come out. Rivers is there. Still not coming out. Now it does. Brought down in the tackle, Sumner. Play on called. And Trengove bashes and crashes. Jones bashes and crashes. Jamar belts it forward. Help, Dennis, help.
That was exciting stuff. Marriage is dragged down. This is episode 2, about 20 metres away. But the umpire this time blows the whistle.
He's swallowed his whistle.
Thanks, guys. Stand up.
Interesting with Sumner, and you probably didn't experience this, Tim, but for me, a mortal, sometimes in your first game, the footy feels like a foreign object. And Sumner twice there had it, and just, it must have felt odd. Didn't know quite what to do with it. Here's Davey trying to fend somebody off, anybody. Picked on a couple. Managed to get Boots a ball. McDonald right on the boundary line. Kicks it beyond the wing, but didn't look. Coming across as Grundy to take the defensive mark. Now, they could change play here. No, he decides not to and goes short to Rowan. But they were setting up to go across the ground.
You just can't. You just can't give the ball away like they gave it away. Then they've worked their backsides off Melbourne, actually get it back into their own half.
Rowan the high ball towards half forward from behind, taking a good grab was Martin. He's going to be a good player. Grimes goes back, needs to be precise, and that was a courageous mark by Garland.
Just stood
The
there.
man bearing down on him is known to take no prisoners, and it was one of those balls you had to expose yourself to go and get. And Garland had no hesitation. The kick certainly of no help to him. Here's Watts towards midfield. That's good. Jetta pushes up the ground. Hand passes to Jones. Jones a spearing kick, but again misses the target. It was intended for Bale. It was probably a metre too long. It was out in front of him. He couldn't get to it. Grundy did.
Jack Watts actually took that ball then. He actually just came straight off the interchange. But I'd like to see him push up the field a little bit more, Jack Watts. He's a really good decision maker and he executes well.
I think it's been a source of a lot of discussion at the Demons too. A great grab by Goods as to where he would play, whether they'd play him a deep forward, high forward. Now Goods.
Where you are, fine.
Is he going to go all the way here? He's going to go across the ground. Lovely looking kick for Jack. Sylvia belts it away. What a good quarter of footy it was.
Entertaining.
Sydney made the early running. Melbourne had a little burst. Sydney stabilised, and that's where we're at. Quarter time on a Sunday with the sun shining at the G. It's the Swans by 13 over the D's. It's 33-20.
Touches of brilliance. Second term underway at the MCG. Mumford and Jamar both coming off outstanding seasons. Maloney, Davey straight up in the air. Mumford slapped it down. Davey could get a second chance, put the body in. That was very strong. And the Sydney player is very slow to get up. That's McGlynn. Now, for him to be slow to get up, this must have been a pretty heavy whack. And as you saw, to the side of the head. And there's a report.
Ben.
Well, the umpire is
You
obliged.
got the numbers, Brett? Aaron Davey at 21. Hang on a second. Hang on. I've just got him for contact to the head on the bump, so it's a report, okay? Hands are up. Ben McLean.
Well, they're obliged to do that, Dennis. Head high, and it was a bump. He elected the bump.
Yep, McGlynn sends it out towards left half forward and Goods. Well, Melbourne with a lot of time to drop men back as that report was happening. Still leaving space in front of Goods. You wonder about that. Long kick down towards full forward, almost holding to the man in front. That was White. Socket forward. It was Sumner and just pushed across the line by Sylvia.
That's a good point you make too, because they did have time to get back, and again they found themselves in a one-on-one situation deep in their own forward line. I think Goods at the moment is looming as the real danger for Melbourne this afternoon. They really haven't been able to blunt his effectiveness. He's playing in that front half and he just looks dangerous every time the ball arrives.
Tapscott again kicking in, kicked it to himself and drives it up towards midfield. Kennedy did brilliantly. Matner, oh, well played by Jack, and Goods left in space.
That's his fifth mark, Dennis, inside 50.
I reckon from that last kick he had, he just decided, well, it's beautiful out here in the sun, and he just stood there. Lo and behold, it's come back to him. He didn't go anywhere, Tim, and they left him alone.
No, they just need to tighten up on this bloke. He is a superstar of the competition.
Easier said than done, of course, because he is exactly that.
And he's a great athlete too, we know that too, but he had too much space in.
He didn't run that time. And he comes, 49 metres out. Slow drifting kick is good.
The other interesting thing about that passage of play was that Jack and also Kennedy got their hands on the ball. They were pretty quiet in the first quarter, both Kennedy and Jack. They're their two chief playmakers around the ball. Kennedy was in their top 5 in their best and fairest last year. They really love the way that he's developing, a ready-made replacement for Kirk, and also Jack won the best and fairest last year. I mean, a real breakout season last year, had played those really defensive type roles. They just freed him up a little bit last year.
So 9 of the last 11 inside 50s for the Swans. Goods with a couple of goals. Kicked 44 last year. The year before that 38, and the year before that 29. So it's been growing, and you feel like he could kick 50 or 60 in a season. He's done so much in footy. Maloney's little kick forward. So the Demons 3 and a bit goals behind here. It's a dangerous moment.
Hey, you got the ball, you're holding on to him. Sydney free kick.
And they can't get hold of the footy.
Back to him now, Jack. Thank you.
So Watts back to Grundy. Don't have a clear winner at the moment, Melbourne, do they? And Grundy at centre wing. Kicks to half forward. Jamar took a fly. Reid had a little bit of it. Back to Bale. He was a little slow. Grimes. Now, Grimes with a careful kicker. He was almost wanting touch, I think, but couldn't quite go straight to the line. Grundy had a little bit of a fumble. Maloney was terrific. Trengove, well done to Maloney. Maloney was touched off the boot, so there's a waste. Grundy has to fetch it. Watts, he paddles back to Smith. Gang tackle taken. Marrick normally pretty clever here. Jara! Been waiting to say that for 6 months.
That was tailor-made for him too, wasn't it, that delivery? There's great pressure. Maloney really, it was his first ball one that got Melbourne going again here and enabled them to get the ball in their forward line.
He's only had the one handball so far, Joe, and that was a good handball. It resulted in a done goal.
You just have to stop that launch to the ball. That is his bread and butter.
So the long run up. He'll kick from about 48 metres. It's sweet. Oh, he's a beautiful footballer.
He's a launcher. He's not a body player, Liam Jarrett. He's a wonderful athlete, and that's their problem, Melbourne, at the moment. They don't actually have that big-bodied forward, so they do need to get the ball quickly into their forward line so those players can actually operate with their athleticism, and they don't need any strength. Here, there's no body on him at all as he actually approached that ball.
Tim, Maloney's efforts there were fantastic. He had about 3 goes there and actually won it in the end.
So Adam Goodes and Liam Jara trade goals. Pretty safe to mention them in the same sentence. Both so exciting and so talented.
And he's had a pre-season this time round, Liam Jara, as opposed to last year too, so a lot more expected of him from Melbourne.
The contrast between the two this afternoon is that Goodes is getting a lot of the ball, not so Jara to the moment. Well done by Mumford, gets it out to Jack, kicks it to half forward Sumner, almost finds it on the ground, could have been held without it. Garland goes after it, White crashes into him, Sumner applies a tackle. McDonald, well, he kept it in front. I thought for a moment it would be slapped away from him. Well done by McVeigh. Gave it to Mumford. O'Keefe. Now White, the short one. Jetta inside the 50. Plays it back outside. White confronted by McDonald. Well done. Sylvia brushes the man aside. Jetta comes after him. The kick goes down towards half forward. Close to the boundary line. Grundy fell at his feet. Watts in trouble. Grundy comes again. Knocks it forward. Melbourne's way though. Martin a lot of the football. Didn't get a possession that time. Just missed it. Grundy able to pick up. Gives it to Jack. Jack terrific. Elusive on the spot. That's hard to do. It gets it up towards Reid. And Reid takes the mark.
He's too big for McDonald, Reid.
It's been impressive. Good kick to McVeigh. And then McVeigh will square it up. Smith. So the Swans building. And then Smith again. Goodes the target. Yep. So 6 marks for Goodes today.
That could be the difference, though. We saw Reid out-marking McDonald, so he has a height advantage against another Melbourne defender, and we know already that Goodes has been pretty much unstoppable once the ball goes towards him. So they've got some real problems in defence, and we talked about this pre-game too, about the fact that Frawley wasn't playing.
Thanks, Cole.
Yeah, they're all Australian.
I mean, Frawley would be on Goodes right now.
Yep. He'd be plugging the biggest hole you could get, wouldn't he? Well, he's kicked a couple Goodes, and that one not so good. So just a little lazy kick there for the champ, the dual Brownlow medalist.
Fine there, Adam. Thank
He
you.
and Juddy,
Yeah, you're right.
the current day players. But the Demons
Play on.
trail by 2.5 goals.
Grimes to himself and drives it towards the outer side. Martin spilt the mark. Rivers, aided by McDonald. Martin gave it across to Trengove. Nice kick. Now Bennell's away. Sylvia trying hard now. Sylvia met solidly. Relayed free kick. Sylvia slow to get up. Mumford was the man who cannoned into him. So 2 former Geelong boys initially shape up there. Maloney and Mumford.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, Mark.
Sylvia is to his feet behind play, but that hurt. There's a lot of humanity crashing into him here. That's a couple of steps late.
That's it.
The kick was there. Done to take it.
When the saving grace there for Mumford, Dennis, was that there was no head-high contact. I mean, it took him across the chest. It was a solid bump, but no contact whatsoever to his head.
Cole, just listen for half a sec. You've got the free kick. Don't do anything stupid to risk it, mate. Oh, no, but you're on the line, OK? OK, go off, Brett. What's him going
A
on?
lot of talk out there. I was just waiting for my time to come in, and Dunn obviously put up by 2, kicks it behind. He kicked the first goal for Melbourne this afternoon.
It is exactly what you want to see your ruckman do in a game of football, though, isn't it? Get involved physically in a game, but, I mean, the penalty there is just too big.
Well, as it turned out, he missed, so it's probably money well spent.
So J-Mar, he was suspended last year, Mumford, wasn't he?
Yes.
Tackle on Ablett. J-Mar's kicked the centre half forward, eludes everybody. Dunn plays it in front, little give down low. Handball by Marrick, cut off by Hanbury. Rowan back inside. That's a good handball to Bolton. And Bolton, he had Shaw out of the corner of the eye, but he couldn't quite do it. And then Davies kicks a beauty, and Green's within range. He will go short though. Finds Jetta.
That's modern day football, isn't it? You break in the centre of the ground, you look up, there's no one to go to. Out of the corner of his eye, he did see Shaw. In fact, Gooch was even further away to his right, but he just couldn't get the ball there. Here's the turnover. He just didn't get any purchase on that whatsoever, and you just know that the Melbourne players are going to be behind the ball. And they're going to run into space as soon as they see that turnover.
Good there, thanks, Marty.
So Neville Jetta. And he played half a dozen games last year. They're right in the heart of the season, rounds 9 to 14. Good kick. It's a goal. Melbourne coming back here. Back within 8 points. Good game of football. The Goods miss was a big one, wasn't it, when you think back?
Yep. He shot a goal, yes. Yeah. No, from a set shot, he will need to nail. Well, you do need to nail those ones, but it's such a critical kick in modern day football, that one where you break the see. Well, again, he pulled his kick right at the last second, didn't he? He had the right idea, but he just couldn't execute.
He got it with his ankle.
Oh, yeah, but the penalty is so great.
Nice work by the Demons, working back into this.
I hope we don't find out after the game, Dennis, that he's had some injection in his groin or whatever, and he actually can't feel his legs like Mickey McQuan.
Oh, yeah. One of the great stories of Australian footy. Numb leg. So, 41 plays 33, midway through the second term. What a cloud in the sky now. Stark contrast to what was there this morning. A lot of heavy cloud cover, amounted to naught. Here's Grimes again, doing good work now as a springboard across half back. Kicks towards Bennell, finds it off the ground after the spoil. Weaving, twisting, and released the hand pass just perfectly. The timing exquisite, as was the kick. Davey under the chest of Green.
And that's why Davey is so dangerous there. Anything forward of the centre, him getting a possession, generally results in another Melbourne player getting a disposal too.
So Green, he's a long kick, but I doubt he can get this distance. Well, he's not trying. He's just setting it up to about 15 metres out. J-Mar doesn't get to the contest. Up in front was done. Couldn't hang on. We're under pressure now. Smith had it momentarily. In the midst of a couple of Sydney Swans, there is Trengove, and the umpire will ball it up 25 metres out from Melbourne's attacking goal.
So White and J-Mar with Mumford on the bench. O'Keefe on the wrong side for him. Doesn't get it out really of the danger zone. Can McDonald use it? He goes to the pocket. Can Jetta get over the top? No good. That's courageous by Richards.
Oh, particularly remembering his past.
He just doesn't flinch when he goes for the ball, Teddy.
Was it against Carlton? He really damaged himself, I think.
He did.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't last year. It was the year before.
Yeah. Against the Blues. Yeah, he's a gutsy player.
Again, though, there was a turnover from Sydney off half-back.
So Grundy gets it wide.
Smith on the lead. Takes the mark and plays on immediately. Well-weighted kick. Reid in position A. Sensing the danger there. Getting across quickly was Martin. Realising that Grimes not only was in the worst position, but he's a lot shorter. Martin did well. Left his man, came and spoiled and got it out of bounds.
They've had plenty from their two big men today, haven't they? Martin and also J-Mar have been excellent.
And Martin's so nimble for a guy that size. You can carry him adequately. I mean, there's no problem there.
Well, he's one of those former basketball-type players, so he's got the agility, he's got the dexterity, he's got the awareness too, and they've just been waiting for him to develop and actually put all the pieces together.
Advantage!
By contrast there, Jesse White is a support ruckman on the forward line. Mumford is their starting ruckman. And Seaby is the substitute. They weren't game to go with two big guys. Here's Watts. He's got it on the wing. Short to Grimes. But, as I said at quarter time, Martin had 8 possessions and he's added a few since then. So he acquires possessions around the ground. That's a terrible kick from Grimes, not his normal high standard.
Well, it's a good point
by Grundy.
It's a good point because you've got two blokes who are really athletic in Jamar and also Martin working over Mumford, who's really rucking on his own on a pretty warm day too.
We saw O'Keefe and Richards and Everett combining, eventually back to Grundy. Grundy goes down towards half forward. Hanbury on the lead, the rising star from last season. Hasn't seen much of the ball this afternoon, just 4 possessions. Boundary throw in outside the 50. Sydney in attack and they lead by 8 points.
Melbourne keeping 4 forwards back here.
So White does it well this time against Jamar. Bolton. Quick kick by Shaw was clever. And then White getting back onto it. It's a big goal.
He's only touched the ball twice and he hasn't been a real danger in their forward line. But what he does for their structure is he means that you've got to maintain 3 tall defenders for Melbourne. So I guess Reid has been good this afternoon. Goods has, and that is just an opportunistic type goal pushing up to the stoppage. You'd just like to see, he's been developing for the last couple of years, White, but he just hasn't really taken that next leap in AFL football yet. Good hands there from Shaw, just quick.
That's a beautiful kick.
Great
Immediately
finish.
sprinted off the ground. Interesting, I did the game yesterday, Collingwood at Etihad Stadium. And Tim, they had their interchanges up at about 180 at times last year, 130 odd yesterday, but on one occasion 4 of their guys running off at the same time and only 3 can come on. So it was a race between the 4. The 4th guy, I think, was a big fella, I can't remember, might have been Dawes, didn't get there in time, so he was stopped and sent back to Christmas Island. On the other side, O'Keefe has given away a free kick and it's going to Melbourne. Trengove will take it.
They're critical.
The ball, it's okay, but you look straight at him and blocked him.
Yeah, it just he took his eyes off the ball there and blocked. That's a good decision. But that first one against Mumford in the centre bounce, that is just a gift to the opposition to give away a free kick in a ruck drill. We saw that last night, Hawthorn in the first quarter, their ruckman, 4 free kicks in the first quarter. I mean, critical to win the clearances and just to give yourself or your opposition a free break like that.
Well, you said working him over, and maybe it's taking its toll midway through this second term. That's not a good kick from Trengove. He misses to the right-hand side.
I reckon the plan, Dennis, when he sees Martin go into the centre bounce, because he's not a recognised ruckman, I reckon he will be more physical against him this afternoon.
Well, of course, Martin's got the leap, hasn't he? Around the outer side, Smith goes looking for McVeigh, but misses him. Right on the line, Trengove. That was clever. Across to Grimes. Grimes a penetrating kick. Off hands, falls to Watts, lines up and misses.
Just rushed it a bit, didn't he?
Yeah. Big day yesterday, though.
Yeah. He turned 20 and Dennis, I know your age because I remember, but I can't say.
Put the scrambler on.
So Jetta wide. It's a good age. Smith to centre wing.
It's a goal, mate.
It's not yours, that's right.
And the good thing, you still don't act it.
Ah, well, that takes a bit of doing.
So
He started blowing the candles out at 6 o'clock in the morning. He finished at 6 o'clock last night.
So here Mumford and Martin, that aggression that Tim chatted about. Mumford helped out Jetta and then McVeigh. McVeigh's little kick forward, tap shot's got it. Down to you, Rich. Are you with Brad Green?
Yeah, we've got Brad here. Brad, this is your first spell. That's a little bit unusual.
Yeah, it's been, with only 3 rotations, it's, first time.
And you started on the wing, but you've gone forward now.
Yeah, going forward to give us an option and hopefully kick a couple goals.
It's a pretty tight contest. How do you see it so far?
Yeah, it's ebbs and flows, and it would have been nice to finish off those last couple and sort of, edge our way back in the game. So, but we're still there. We're still going.
Thanks, Brad.
Cheers.
Well, Hanbury's taken a ripper. What a one-hander against the flow. It was brilliant. So the rising star from last year can't finish it with a goal. It's marked on the line. Well done. He is playing well, Martin. And then Bartram, that's a poor kick out on the full.
Sydney to come back then.
3 metres. Thanks, Jack.
That would be the poorest part of his game. Here's Melbourne on the break. Just watch this from Hanbury. Young player, keeping his eye on the ball. I mean, that is just fantastic play.
How gutsy was that? There's Rowan as they build again. So after a good period by Melbourne, Sydney have regrouped and playing some of their better football. White.
That's it, Nath.
Very short break, is back on the ground. He's about 75 metres out from goal.
Move on.
No one really in the square. If he goes long, well, he's going in the direction of Goods, and why not? Coming across on the angle boldly was Tapscott. He's a little fella, but he's got plenty to give, and he knocked it out of bounds. We'll have a boundary throw in.
They say he's almost too courageous for his own good, Tapscott.
He's a solid man, no doubt about that. The 19-year-old Kennedy flung around. Good chase. Well done, Garland. Improvised, belted forward, but the Swans will get back. Everett, who kicked a specky goal in the first term off one step and then bangs back to about 40 metres. Melbourne with numbers. Well read by Davey. Takes them on. Maloney in close quarters. He's a strongy, and so Sylvia. This is an exciting build-up. Goes to Jeddah. Goes to Davey. Goes to Jones. Looks up. He's got Jarrah one out. It's not a good kick. He kicked it beautifully to Teddy.
He played it well, though, Teddy.
Yeah.
He's a good Teddy at the moment.
He went to where he knew the ball was actually going to go by the way that it was entering the forward line. He read it beautifully.
Even a contortionist couldn't have kicked it to Jarrah, could he? He was tagging along 20 metres behind. The best thing may have been just to grubber it. Go for a lucky bounce or get it out of bounds.
What an exciting rebound, though, from Melbourne.
Can you imagine an old coach hearing that? If you're running towards the 50, make sure you grubber it.
Or kick it out of bounds.
That's right.
Let's get a stoppage again. Take it wide.
We're not saying that's a bad thing. We're just saying things have changed. Richards drives it short of the wing. Oh, terrific. Jamar will almost. I thought he'd marked it. It was quick thinking by White to knock it away. Trengove across towards Bartram. And it's held to him by McVeigh, so we'll have a ball up.
What we've seen this afternoon, Jamar is going to be one of the dominant big men again in the competition. Talked about it in an article I read that he'd had another great pre-season.
Hasn't he blossomed?
Oh.
It's amazing what opportunity and responsibility combined can do. Here's Maloney. No way through there. Kennedy finished up with a footy. Scrambles a kick towards the wing. Tapscott again confronted. The two first gamers, the two South Australians, on a collision course, and Sumner won that time. White across to Shaw. Shaw kicks it down towards the attacking 50, and it bounces out of bounds. Interesting with that number 35. We heard about that earlier. The presentation to Tapscott. Well, McMahon, a wonderful player, captain of Melbourne during their glory days. And after him, another great player, Don Williams, who was a premiership player for Melbourne. Quite a few premierships up his sleeve. Wore it for West Perth and Western Australia as well. Dispute over money. There it is, number 35 in the midst of things. Don went to Western Australia, came back and played in a Melbourne premiership side in 1965. There's the bounce. Jamar. Mumford. Jeddah almost. Well done, Kennedy. Snatched it away from him. Jones goes sliding in after the football and paid a free kick for courage. He won it. He demanded it. And the umpire obliged. But he was the one who was down earliest. He went lowest. Kick towards the wing. 2-on-1 Sydney. Grundy got a fist to it. Opportunity for Bale. Did brilliantly. Runs the boundary line. That's a better kick. Green on the lead. Will let it bounce and swoop on it. He kicks it back towards full forward. How will this one bounce? Onto the chest of Richards. Jarrah got him. Green the intercept. Run down by Rowan. Jard out of there. Jarrah's got a man on. It comes to Marriage. Marriage snaps and hits the post. Well, Bennell is not happy, but I'm not sure that we could have expected the man off the pack, Marriage, to see Bennell, who is on for a hand pass over the top as it's taken to the outer side by Smith.
What an entertaining game we're seeing. It's terrific, isn't it? No one getting a goal for a fair while in what's been a high-scoring first quarter. So White starting to get involved here. A smother from Rivers, and then Trengove left it for Rivers. So a little bit of a misunderstanding. Back comes Trengove. He's got a lot stronger in the upper body, Trengove, in the off-season. You'd expect that, I guess, in Everett. McVeigh belts it long. Reed sets himself. Good contest over by McDonald. Back it comes. Kennedy He's a strong one, isn't he? Bolton gives it all he's got. Sumner and Jones. Oh, that's a good mark.
Gee, that was good, strong play there.
Going to come wide. And Collins got it. Colin Sylvia, this is. Lovely kick.
Watts inside the centre square then. End-to-end stuff. Just under 4 minutes to go to half-time. Lobs a kick in the direction of Trengove, and he takes the mark. Well, that was terrific. 2 problems there. The man coming back on him and the sun. Made it look easy. Another young South Australian, Trengove.
Jim Mumford's got to get down there quickly too.
Stay out, move out, both of you.
Just a one-on-one jar and Richards in the goal square. Jamar's gone forward now. They just don't have a lot of numbers. He should get it in there quickly now, so there's a 2-on-2.
Well, he seems intent on going for distance here. 55 metres out. Sweet contact, but in looking for the extra distance, he does hook it a little and misses. So 10 points the difference. And on balance now, I guess that's probably a fair margin.
They've kicked 2-5 to 2-2 in this quarter, the Demons. So they've had a little bit more of the play, certainly in the last few minutes. McDonald, Watts is inside if he wants him. Green was calling from it 45 metres out. Good kick to Dunn.
Now, Teddy Richards is just looking back at the other defenders and saying, OK, this is not my man. Who's supposed to be picking up Lyndon Dunn? He's playing on Liam Jarrett, and that's exactly what Lyndon Dunn can do as a forward. He's a smart player. He understands that the ball generally won't be directed to him, so the opposition defenders won't be watching him as close as what they should. And he just moved and drew the ball in. And he is a good finisher too, Lyndon Dunn.
Kicked 26 goals last year. Now, prior to that in his career, his best for a season was 13. He became a weapon last year, didn't he?
Just not sure about the moustache yet. I know it's grown on him. It hasn't grown on me.
And that one not coming back. So Melbourne a little wasteful here. They've had quite a few set shots in this quarter. Up to 5-8 to 7-5. Done with 1 goal, 2 today. Kicked the opening goal for the Demons after Sydney made the early running.
This game reminds me a bit of the clash last season that we covered on a Sunday afternoon. Sydney looked a better side early, and Melbourne just wore them down because they are a very quick side, Melbourne.
The numbers have really tightened up too, Dennis. In fact, Melbourne are heading in the contested possession, so they're winning their fair share of the really hard ball.
Good signs then. Kick to the outer side. Mumford stretches and takes the mark. Plays on immediately. Alongside him, Shaw goes for distance towards half-forward. Goods comes and takes the mark. Uncontested, wheels around. Sydney Swans leading back in all directions to the football. He kicks it down towards the pocket, but it bounces out of bounds. So, chance goes begging. It wasn't a good kick from Goods.
He's a beacon when they go forward, isn't he?
And the players have got such confidence in him, the Sydney players, that they're prepared to run off as he's approaching the ball. Jack was just headed back towards the pocket. He assessed that brilliantly. Bartram is slung, gets boot to ball.
Only as far as Goods to Shaw, to McVeigh, clever. Still McVeigh, a wonderful smother. Maloney, and then Sylvia Maloney. Can't quite get it through. Bevan. Watts did well not to give away a free. Green, McDonald. McVeigh takes it off Watts. Green has to arch the back, put it back into a contest. Bevan goes down. Matner panicked a bit, didn't need to, had a little more time. Was hell-bent on getting the ball quickly onto the boot.
He just needed some poise and composure, didn't he? There was plenty of space around him.
So Garland goes long, sets Jones a task. Everett, boundary throw in.
Well, it's easy from up here, and there is a lot of pressure on out there, but when they do have time, that's when they need to squat up their kick. That's close to being tripped, I would have thought.
Certainly an attempt.
Davey, Marriage. Yes, I think we'll hear more about that one. Davey. The ball will come back. No, it's going to be where Bennell is. They'd advantage the umpire. Bennell searching kick inside the forward 50. Well played there by Grundy. Got it on the ground. Still under pressure in defence. It comes across to O'Keefe. Grundy's hand pass did him no favours. Now a whistle, and the umpire has paid a free kick. Now he's going to ball it up.
Bennell really burnt Liam Jarrett there because he got off Teddy Richards, and they've got to honour that lead, because if they don't, Richards will just play off Jarrett all afternoon.
Almost half-time. Time enough for both sides to score here, but They like Melbourne's chances. That's their attacking 50, you can see. Jamar hooks it down behind. Davey on his left foot. Here's trouble. Spears it back towards the middle. Intended for the chest of Jarrah. And Bevan was superb, like a soccer goalkeeper, going up to protect the top right-hand corner of the net. He was able to knock it away.
That was going to make the Sharon mark on Jarrah's chest there.
It's a perfect description, Dennis. It's great stuff by Bevan. Bartram held up.
Thanks, guys.
He's so dangerous, isn't he, Aaron Davey? Those possessions between the centre of the ground and the 50-metre arc.
Sunday. Relax.
He can just set up goals from there.
Watch behind me, please.
Big job for Reece Shaw this afternoon.
So one last stoppage to this first half. Can Melbourne take advantage of it? Jamar. It comes out Kennedy. Swans are safe. They all lead at half-time. So a real arm wrestle in the second half of that second term. We'll fancy their chances. They're close enough, aren't they? But Johnny Longmire won't be too disappointed either. 7-5, 5-8, 47-38. It's a 9-point game of the MCG on Sunday. It's the Swans leading the Demons.
Dangerous. Richards, though, is getting the footy. Start of the second half. Jamar hesitated. Mumford won it down. Kennedy digs it out. Kicks inside the forward 50. Loose ball at the back. Gathered by Bolton. Slips a hand pass away to O'Keefe, who's been busy. He concedes some ground. Jetta unloads from about 60. It's offline and helped across the behind line there by Rivers. First blood of this third term to Sydney. They lead now by 10 points.
Mumford just working his way back into this game too. Really good tap at the first centre bounce and a good clearance from Kennedy.
Martin's been impressive.
He's gone to defence now onto Reid, so they were lacking a little bit of height in that part of the ground.
Careful kick to Rivers.
Stay there.
So first 5 minutes of the third quarter is often a little lull, isn't it? Though Rivers now makes the heartbeat a lot faster because he kicked into the man on the mark. That man being White now. McVeigh off one step. Oh, good kick.
Great
And
kick.
Melbourne are going to be hurt here.
Great kick.
Bolton got him behind.
That's happened a couple of times this afternoon, hasn't it? Where they've done some reshuffling, the Sydney players in their midfield, and one's dropped out the back at a stoppage.
Line's good, Jude. He's right on the mark.
Hasn't missed a game for 5.5 years, Bolton. And considering the way he plays the game, that's amazing.
He will this year under the concussion rule.
Good kick. Sydney get an important goal at the start of the second half.
You're quite right when you talk about that lull that sometimes comes over a game just after half-time. It's as though the players take that big, deep breath, they lie down, they have a little bit of a break, and it's a real mental battle to get yourself up again, firing as soon as the siren goes or as soon as the ball's bounced in that third quarter. And it's a critical part of the game. You see Dean Bain there just sitting as he has done all afternoon on the bench. Richo's already spoken about how much he's had to say to the players as they've come off.
Hard to legislate for that. As a result, man gets in behind the defence, just minding his own business, but suddenly he's about to become the beneficiary. This is a good kick. Ended in the goal. 54 plays 38. Now, prior to half-time, Melbourne kicked 5 consecutive behinds. Davey just hacking the ball out of mid-air onto the chest of Bennell. That was fortunate and clever all in one go. Bennell plays on, beats the man on the mark, kicks long down towards full forward. Everett from the side got a fist on it, didn't send it very far. Jetta in terrible trouble, close to the boundary line. Dunn running out of space. Still a live ball, but it goes through for a behind. Wasting no time. Back into play from Bevan. There's that kick from Davey. So 5 behinds leading up to half-time, and that's their first score since. Yet another behind, but in the interim, 1-1 to start the term from Sydney, and this ball is out of bounds.
Goods and Garland. Goods a strong first half. Kicked a couple, missed an easy shot.
Reid at the moment is on his own. There's another example of how Sydney have been able to reconstruct themselves or construct themselves so they've got a free player in their forward line. Melbourne now just waking up to it.
Good tap, Jamar, and then Maloney, and Davey has his head pulled off.
Play on, play on.
Davey Wide to Jones. Not a good kick.
So Bolton actually has gone to Grimes now. They're really concerned about Grimes being that third player up and being the player that can distribute the ball. He'll play that type of run with, tag with, roll, and try and draw the ball again too.
Heard the umpire. Jack, just his 7th disposal. Tim talked about his first half. Goods arched the back. Garland got hold of him.
Held too long in the tackle and handballed away and held.
Happy to concede that though, Tim. Happy to concede that.
He would have, he got the desired result, which is to slow them down. Now their midfielders get a chance to actually get back there and fill in the spaces.
So Goods with a low ball. Maloney gets a little finger on it. Rivers under pressure.
McGlynn ran into a dead end, tried to back out. Reed's got it now, kept it going. Jack across the body. Hooked it too much. Behind.
Now he's getting busy, which is a really dangerous sign for Melbourne. A really slow, quiet first half by his standards, just the 6 possessions. But he's one of those blokes who just bores in the whole time, so it's almost impossible to keep him out of the action.
Grimes to bring it in, was averaging 22 possessions a game last season until injured in round 14 and didn't play again. To himself, kicks it just outside the defensive 50. Off the hands, it falls behind. Rolling there was Shaw, did pretty well, got it to McVeigh. Jack another possession, touched off the boot. O'Keefe got the arms free. McVeigh continued to run, but he was forced towards the boundary well by Sylvia. Quick closing speed by Sylvia. And McVeigh could never align himself with the goals. Another behind. Garland changes the tack and goes looking for Jarrah. Bruce.
He goes looking for the footy, and he hasn't had much of it today, but he hasn't had a whole lot of opportunities. His kick into the centre square. Jeddah's handball. Jones misses. Maloney and Jones, they make a meal of it. Mess it up. Reed still with Maloney. Got to push in the back. No free kick.
Back in the head, free kick, Melbourne.
And now the free comes to Bale. He's had the run with job, I think, in that first half, Bale, on those prime movers, including Kennedy for the Swans. Now McDonald. Merrick is short. Good hands. They need a goal or two out of him. They need a big second half here. A lot resting on round 1. The kick, Mumford, well done. Tim talked about his improved effort late in that second quarter, and it was certainly noticeable.
A good mark, given the quality of the opposition. They bring it away again. Matner to the outer side. This will be interesting. Jeddah fancies his chances. Runs the boundary line and kicks down towards the 50. And the mark is taken by White. Overcommitted. Falling was Rivers. Now he's got a problem. White can centre goal. Runs in, lacking support. Eventually flips it over the top. Well done. He drew them and then gave it off.
I reckon that's a feature of Sydney's game that really has been an improvement in the way they've played too, and they've added players like Jeddah, who gives them some outside speed. He's got the licence to run with the ball. On that occasion, we saw him in the first quarter actually have a real big long run down the wing, and he didn't distribute the ball as well as what he might have on that occasion. White just thought his way through that pretty well, actually.
So danger time here. Bolton, 2 goals in the third quarter. That an unlikely goal source.
And he's playing the defensive role really on Grimes, so that's been a real win for Johnny Longmire.
T is not having a good day, is Rivers. He's just, things aren't going his way at the moment. But White's pace there really exposed him, and Jeddah's pace and Mumford's mark, so important, wasn't it? Bevan, Green, they need something to happen, Melbourne. Jeddah's handball, a bit sloppy. Maloney, did well. Thought his way through it, and then off one step. That's a good kick. Oh, that is so good. He got a goal from nothing.
That was great play. But I tell you the other thing about that is there's John Longmire. It was just a turnover here from... There's this instinctive nature about AFL players that when they get in trouble, they always feel or think that there's going to be someone behind them. He went for the handball then, Bevan, and there was no one there, but that was a great bit of finishing. Great bit of finishing.
Just his fetching of the ball too.
Well, he's one of those players, isn't he? He does like to play inside the contest. Just watch it again. There's a great bit of play there from Maloney to go and fetch his own footy. He's a very good stoppage player, one of the best in the competition. And that's where he does his best work, inside the contest.
Started his career with Geelong, and I think people forget he was a high draft pick. Well done by Bale. Slips it across to Jamar. The high ball inside the forward 50. Now Watts needs to come, and he got it on the ground at least. I thought for a moment he'd been outmarked. Opportunity for Green. Wonderful courage by Green. Taken down there by Bevan. Kept his head. He fed it back to Richards. Richards surveyed things. Eventually went to Jack. Jack under pressure, but measured the kick. He was prepared to accept that pressure and the hit that came with it. Now it's Shaw. Little chip up towards the wing. McGlynn, nicely worked. Jack is really starting to run. Hand pass from O'Keefe. Hanbury uses the ball well yet again. Goes looking for a teammate in Goods. Goods edged under the football, and that certainly is a win for Melbourne. The way he's been going, Garland, I think, looked apprehensively back over his shoulder at the umpire, thinking for a moment. There was no whistle.
Jack got off the ground then, and he actually put his hands up in the air to say, OK, who's coming on to replace me?
O'Keefe couldn't quite. And Jack's had such a productive 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, he's up to 11 now. He was at half-time, he was at 6, so he has really got moving. Kennedy's replaced him. Maloney's picking him up at this stoppage.
Hanbury's gone from 4 to 7 also, so both of those have almost doubled a modest first half. J-Mar's got to be careful. McVeigh cleverly. McGlynn hooks it back.
Mumford is still doing the lion's share of the ruck. He has to be getting tired now. They've got Seaby as their substitute player. You just wonder.
Does Mumford go off when Seaby comes on?
I reckon it's pre-arranged. I think their plan probably will be for Mumford maybe to go 3/4 of the game if he can.
Speaking of the Mumford, and here is now Tringove building wide. Because at the moment, Tim, the other guy, White's looking a little bit dangerous, I reckon. Now, you wouldn't want to take him off at the moment. He's been all right, I reckon.
Yeah, no, and I think for their structure, they actually need to keep him out there as long as they can.
So it's an interesting choice having a ruckman a sub.
That's right, and it's forced Martin to go deep and play as a defender too, which is against what Melbourne want to do.
Seeing a lot of free kicks paid in ruck contests, aren't we? J-Mar, the recipient.
Trengove has been terrific for Melbourne. And so that time he kicks it out of bounds on the bounce intended for Maloney.
He's their top possession gatherer, 16. Contested possession too. Tringove, 10 of his 16 are contested possession, so he's won them in time.
Mumford concedes front spot and still wins it down. McVeigh, hand passes, then Shepherds. O'Keefe lobs one very high towards the 50. Good body work by Garland behind, kept Goods grounded. The mark was taken by Rivers coming back. Here's Grimes. Bit too nimble just for Reid. Sends it towards the outer side, but Reid's contest enough to affect the kick. O'Keefe has it. Feigns to go to his right. We know better than that. Look at that spearing pass. And Bolton coming up for his 3rd goal of the term.
He's become dangerous, hasn't he? That's been a great move. Make Grimes honest. And he has the ability, smart enough to actually draw the footy as well, which takes pressure off their other key big men.
On the mark.
Just get the feeling that Sydney have all the answers at the moment. Melbourne's best chance of winning this game is perhaps to outrun Sydney at the finish, if that's possible. But the lead could be too big. Although this one is out to the right. Adds to the lead, but not as bad as it could have been for Melbourne. 63 plays 45. And so far, this half played predominantly, almost exclusively, in Sydney's attacking half.
Screwing down Melbourne at the moment, aren't they? The Demons walking a fine line. Tapp's got to well, and then Bennell got it from Martin.
50 metres and hold! It's a hold against you, 50 metres. He's got rid of the ball, you grabbed him.
It's against Jack. A bit lucky Merrick then, because
Give it to him.
had it been the advantage, Merrick was run down by Hanbury.
So does the 50 go from where the ball ended up or where the actual incident occurred?
Incident occurred, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold there.
So here is Bennell, about 60 out.
And you held him.
He's going to pop it up, I think, high. He does. Jarrah will take a run, and he goes high, almost. And Jeddah's kicked forward.
How can you not body him, Tim?
And Richards is saying that he's injured too, Jarrah. Oh no, he looks like he's going to be okay. How could you not body him? You're quite right. How could you let him get a leap and a jump at the ball like that? He landed awkwardly though, didn't he?
Well, that's the only reason he didn't hold the mark, because the ball came out when he crashed to the ground.
I reckon that John Longmire might have thrown his first clipboard when he saw that unfolding. Jarrah didn't hold on, but it wasn't for lack of trying. Trengove hard against the boundary line, across to Martin now. Not many men that size can do that. He steps around a much smaller man in McGlynn, kicks inside the 50, chance for Watts, gives it across to Bale. Bale, the high kick down towards full forward, lurking behind now is Jarrah. Then he fell over, gets to his feet, Jarrah, snaps and misses. Well, you can't call it mundane.
It's up to the medicos.
Not even Anthony Mundine. He did nothing mundane, I don't think.
And neither does William Jarrah.
His speed at ground level is a real concern, though.
And he's getting involved, Jarrah, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's starting to get to where the footy's at. So Burnell tries to run down Kennedy out to centre wing. Well done, McGlynn, got a good bounce, and then cleverly to Jetta. Off he goes. Bartram won't get him, but he kept the pressure on. Jetta's sloppy kick. Grimes took a chance, couldn't take it. Reid, very good. O'Keefe looks up, goes bang, good kick. Bolton waits, back as a goal. No, well done, McDonald.
Gee. That was a great gather then from Reid, but Kieran Jack was just standing on his own.
But Kieran should learn from that too. He should have gone down to the square and crumbed. He was too busy waving his arms at the bloke who didn't kick it to him.
And making a point of telling him that he'd missed him.
Tapscott.
Jones. Good game though, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Trengove on the half volley. We've been starved of it for so long. The hand pass comes to Hanbury, runs inside the 50, lines up, and he's astray.
Gee, they're wasting some opportunities. He had plenty of time then, Hanbury.
Speaking of Mundine, I mean, Sydney have got Melbourne on the ropes and they're pummeling them, but they can't kick the goals.
2-6 to 1-3 this quarter.
And what we do know about AFL football is you do need to take your chances when they present themselves.
Like life.
You start to talk like Dennis when you've had a birthday at his age. Now McGlynn. Well done, O'Keefe, but held up. Jetta wanted to kick it off the ground, couldn't quite. Melbourne hanging on here. White, good screening. McGlynn got down low. Davey tackled him.
Actually, Bruce, I was going back 40 years.
He's had it 13 times, Aaron Davey, but he really hasn't been able to chop Sydney up. Shaw's done a pretty good job.
Well, he didn't get a touch for a long time, did he? Sylvia went without it and then brings Hanbury down. Tringo through his legs. Jack went down. Bale's got to get it out. He got a high one on him, but he's in trouble.
No. He got it out originally. Just pushed back into him.
Richo.
Thanks, guys.
Matty, what do you got for us, Richo?
Just from ground level here, the difference in the game at the moment, Sydney aren't making the most of their chances, but their forward half pressure is a lot better than Melbourne. So they get the ball in, they lock it in, they're getting a lot more chances. Melbourne, it goes in and comes straight back out at this stage.
Beautiful pass from Kennedy onto the chest of Reid. Reid looks inside the forward 50. Well, not bad. He missed the first target, but they were lining up. That is the classic, I think, lining up situation. He found the man behind McGlynn.
With him, Jack.
So you've got to like the performance of Reid this afternoon, don't you? He has presented well. He's taken 5 marks, 9 contested possessions. So he's done exactly what you'd expect maybe of the third tall forward out there. In fact, he's probably gone ahead of what White's productivity is in the game. And he's kicked 2 goals too.
They would have been good games in the backyard, wouldn't they? The Reid boys. There goes the kick from McGlynn, and he puts it right through. He's been dangerous. He's got 3.
They're just hanging on at the moment. Melbourne just hang on. Kennedy's got busy. He's up to 14 now. Jack, those 2 players who were kept reasonably quiet in the first half probably had some stern words spoken to them at half-time about their productivity, but they've really started to get busy around the contest. They're both strong, effective inside players.
So this is the big margin so far today, out to 4 goals. McGlynn with 3. He's the high scorer out there. Sydney well on top in this term. Melbourne had a fair bit of it in the second. Maloney, that's terrific. A lovely tap and a great kick by Davey, not held by Dunn. O'Keefe, Rowan, wide. Sylvia looking back, did very well. Then turns around McVeigh and then gives it a roost at the back. Burnell, Rowan, Burnell, Marrick. Not a good kick. Jarrah and Richards takes the mark. Well, a real chance missed there by the D's. Richards had a good day.
Marek has to do more than that, doesn't he, as a small forward? I mean, he's there not just for his ability to be able to kick goals, he's got to tackle and all that sort of stuff, but when he gets an opportunity like that, you really want your small forward to be able to finish.
Lacked composure there, didn't he?
Yep.
Bevan, front spot. He was stiff, Bevan. He kicked 3 goals against Carlton in that thriller, that elimination final at the Olympic Stadium, and then got dropped the next week. Didn't play in the semi-final here against the Bulldogs. Now, O'Keefe.
He asked to go elsewhere too, didn't he? He tried to sort of have the club sort out a clearance for him. Didn't eventuate. There's O'Keefe to the interchange gates. Mumford was up, hit his hand. Maloney relishing that situation, quickly onto the boot, down towards Green, running out of space, and the ball goes out of bounds. And talking about experienced players like Brad Green, been around a heck of a long time. The thing that surprised me in the off-season, I'm sure you talked about it quite a bit on Talkback Radio, Tim, was Cameron Bruce changing clubs. That seemed a luxury I thought Melbourne could ill afford, but I didn't see a lot of publicity about it in Perth as the ball comes up towards the wing and Grimes.
They didn't want to lose him. They didn't want to lose him though, Dennis, and it really surprised them. But he thought that he was only going to get a 1-year deal. He wanted a 2-year deal, and Hawthorn were prepared to offer the 2-year deal.
Gee, this is a big turnover. And the kick coming inside to Tapscott, and now Hanbury's high ball. Good mark.
He's solid, isn't he, Grimes?
He is. Gets a lot of the ball. Oh, McDonald panicked. Coughed it up. Bolton has been so good in this quarter. And Melbourne, you feel, have got their back pinned to the wall here. There's not much wriggle room for them.
It's just inside 50.
They need to make very few mistakes in the back half, or else the Swans will be home. Maloney. And held up. Sydney are good in this position. 4 goals up. They're going to be hard to score against.
So it's reasonable
He
time.
might be getting a bit tired here too, Mumford. I just watched the last couple of centre bounces where Jamar's gone right over the top of him.
So the CB call, we reckon, could be soon. The sub.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Mumford wins it down into the path of Jack, who was cruising past at a high rate. Comes to McGlynn, snaps, going back. Gallen gets a hand to it just as well. We'll figure one more goal and Melbourne will really have their work cut out. Not that it's easy now. There's Davey to himself. They're just about out of ideas. McDonald. We touched on Cameron Bruce. I mean, this is where you need a few experienced players. A lot of youngsters out there. McDonald not one of them. He sends it up towards the wing. Mumford again. Well, he's putting on something of an encore. He might be going, but he's going in a blaze of glory. That was a good mark. Hasn't taken too many this afternoon. That, in fact, is his... Bruce, we're at 4th. Still coming to terms with this high technology.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Miss kick.
Well, it worked a treat. Hanbury's got it, and he's about 60 metres out.
They are playing all over them now, aren't they? The thing they're not doing is they're not taking their chances.
No. They're doing it incrementally on the scoreboard. That's a good mark. Goods bearing down. Grimes just drifting across the face of that pack and taking it.
Look how static it is, though, now from this defensive part of the game. All the ground. Down the line again, right into the hands of Sydney.
Hanbury.
Well, Grimes put his hands up there and said, well, what else was I to do? There is no movement, which is something Melbourne was so good at in the second half of last year. Well, they actually won 3 games in a row after the first couple.
They look tired.
Move it on.
So Grundy kicks to about 30 metres. Garland belts away. McDonald wide to Bale to Tapscott. He's made a good start to his career. Not a great kick. Watts was very good there. Burnell high tackle.
What's happened, though, too, because there's been so much ball in Sydney's half, all the Melbourne players have come up the field. The Sydney defenders, 4 of them are staying back, so they're maintaining their position. So when Melbourne do gain control of the ball, they've got nowhere to go, and they're not really working hard enough to switch play and try another angle.
So Tapscott
here they go.
Across the ground. Let's see if they can open up here.
McVeigh's got a decision to make. Will he come to McDonald? He has, and as a result, he's released the man that he was on, and that's Sylvia. Well, he didn't come with enough conviction, McVeigh. I doubt, though, he was going to change things too much, but that's a terrible kick from Sylvia. Bounces off the chest of Jetta, comes to Jetta. Work that out. Opportunity for Jones, runs inside the 50. They desperately need a goal, and Jones delivers.
What a difference it made just to change the angle of their attack. That first kick across the ground really opened up Sydney because so many of their players were playing down the line. And then once they did that, they had so much space to operate in.
It was Tapscott that did the kick across the ground, so good on him for that.
No, it's a smart kick from a young player. Well, look, despite how much Sydney has been in front, they're still within striking distance, Melbourne.
3 of their midfielders have kicked long goals today. Sylvia, Maloney and Jones, all from about that spot. 55 metres out, bang. And the scoreboard suggests that the Demons are still a chance. Sydney have not really taken advantage of their superiority. Jamar goes early. Mumford getting on top. Maloney, well done. Jones, great goal a moment ago. Grundy too high. It was a poor tackle by Jetta. And then McGlynn to Jack. And then Jack careful with the kick. A beauty.
He's had some third quarter, Jack, hasn't he?
Jones got his shoulder too.
That's your angle.
That's a real blow for Melbourne, but Jack's up to 16 possessions now, so he's had 10 in this quarter. And 7 inside 50s and 5 clearances, so he's been extremely busy.
So Bevan, one of the premiership players still left at the Swans. Struck it to the right. In fact, a couple of those set shots have gone there in this term, so it's the same theme. Missing their chances, the Swans.
You just leave the door open, don't you, in modern day football?
Well, Melbourne have got to run them around, I think. Not 15. Trent gave it to Green, who kicks it up towards Dunn. He had the weight. Richards closed him down. Well done by Watts. Knocked it down a marriage. He goes out wide. Bennell in a foot race with Sumner. Sumner arrives now, but Bennell burns him off. Sumner in the vapor trail. Bennell lines up, goal, and kicks it. They can run them around. They're quicker.
That's a great call, Dennis, and that's exactly what they did last year when they played against Sydney here. They dragged them all over the MCG. They had one player to go to then. Bennell was the only target they had inside their attacking 50, and he absolutely burnt off Sumner. He had a turn of speed. But often you see players who have a run like that not able to finish it off. Well, this is setting itself up for a great last quarter of footy.
Well, the twice they've switched the play, Melbourne, they've got to go. That was spectacular. I mean, to run that fast and still kick the goal.
Yeah, and to keep your composure.
Yeah. So a mighty roar around the G. Melbourne closed with a couple of goals against all the flow. Mumford doing so well here, floating forward. But again, Grimes, what a third quarter he's playing.
He plays that role so well, doesn't he? They'd love to be able to push him into the midfield, but that will come in time, I would think, with Grimes.
So Garland, he's off, and he's doing a ringa-ringa-rosy. He wasn't quite too sure. Back to Tapscott. Smother. Melbourne still should be all right. Bennell, he'd be puffing. Garland, back to Tapscott. Now Tapscott off one leg. Mumford should take it. Watts did okay. And then Maloney held on to. Still Maloney and Jack. And then Sylvia.
20 legs. I didn't see it, Brent, I'll be honest. I would have paid him, I did. Let me get out, guys.
So Melbourne just leading the contested possession, so that's a really good sign for Dean Bailey when he speaks to his troops at three-quarter time.
Jack again winning a clearance. Reid. Tapscott did very well. Brought down Bevan, no free kick. Working hard, Hanbury. McGlynn's a clever player. All goods. Not quite. Garland's done well since quarter time. That's a big win.
That was a massive win there in a one-on-one contest.
Now they flood to the outer side. Chance of good things happening here for Melbourne. Well done by Trengove. Just nudged his man under the ball. Allowed Davey to take it. Now Sylvia should have come inside to the run of Trengove. Trengove is still running down the ground. Dunn's got the football. Bennell comes on a lead. Needs about the kickoff line. Well, he decides to go for home. Oh, And just missed by less than a metre, I'd suggest, from long range. The moustache bristles.
He's kicked 1-4 today, Dunn. He got the early goal.
Now they're dragging him all over the MCG now, aren't they? And really using their pace, which is exactly what they need to do. But it's been a fairly warm afternoon here too.
It's a good kick from McVeigh.
Fine there, Jack.
They've got cool heads, the Swans. It's been their mantra under Roos, and I'm sure under Longmire as well. Smith down the ground. They normally play the percentages very well, but they don't have a lead they can sit on now.
No.
It had been 5 goals, you would have thought they were home.
And it's Melbourne's Jetta and Davey and Bennell that are really important players and will be in this final term.
If the Swans can get a goal here, they take so much momentum off the Demons. The kick to half forward. Oh. Grimes was up. He does it so often. Bevan, Goods gets another look. Well, that third man up for the D's. He's been terrific, Grimes, in this quarter, but that was a massive mistake.
He's got the licence to go for the mark, hasn't he? But if he knew what the clock was down to, I'm sure it should have been a fist towards the boundary.
Well, this takes a lot of air out of the ball for the Demons if he does score. It'll be the last play of the third quarter. He's kicked to the champ today. He's missed it. He's missed his last couple. The Demons are going to have a spring in their step in 2 seconds' time.
What a let-off. And if the Swans happen to lose this game, they will look back on this term that they have dominated. We've just seen the flashes come from Melbourne, but they've been very good for them when they've gone forward with speed. They have scored 3-9 in the quarter now for Sydney. No mistakes here from Melbourne. Not time to make a mistake. Three-quarter time. Everything to play for on Sunday football. Sydney could have killed this game. They haven't. Melbourne still with a chance to win their first game of the season at home. 10-14, 74 Sydney. Melbourne 8-12. And this is Sunday football.
If they have big last quarters, you'd think that Sydney would win.
Final term, MCG on a Sunday afternoon. Sunny day, terrific game of football. Jamar down to Maloney. Sydney leaded by 14 points. The high ball interference there. Free kick will go to the sub. Headed on the ground, slips, goes looking for Dunn. Dunn works his way in front and takes the mark. So Pettit with his second kick of the term. And what about the theatre of this sub, Bruce? He came away from the group, did Ricky Pettit, and then took, in a defiant act almost, that bib off. What we've got to do, I think, Tim, is get the telephone booth in club colours, take it out to the huddle, and win that psychological war.
Take your glasses off and get your cape on, eh?
Done. 1 goal for so far. This would be a terrific start for them. Got their first goal. We're right behind him. Done. It's working its way back. Melbourne get the first goal of the final term. Now it's on in earnest.
And critically, they got the centre bounce clearance too. Jamar down to Maloney. Long kick into the forward line. Peter, we've seen the subs come on over this weekend. The first time they've been activated this weekend, and they've all had an effect on the game.
I think McCaffrey's first kick yesterday was a goal, wasn't
That's
it?
right.
Yep.
Friday night, Melbourne as well, kicking a winning goal against St Kilda. Here's that first centre bounce, Jamar. Just a beautiful palm of the ball. Maloney there. Bang. Pressure on the Sydney defence straight away.
Well, Mumford's done so much work today, and we know CB's sitting there. So if they can get it away again here, the D's, there could be a change. Maloney again. Deja vu. Belts it to the same spot. Oh, there you go. Play it again, Sam.
Remember in the old days, he used to be embarrassed to say he started on the bench, but now you'd go around to everybody in the city and say, I'm a super sub.
Here we go again. Jamar. Maloney changed his starting position then, but the same result. And they'll be thinking right now that they have to make a change, and Rowan perhaps will have to find another matchup.
So they say things come in threes. Jamar, Maloney, Pettit. And that one not coming back. But Melbourne They've got themselves about as close as they've been for a long, long time.
We shouldn't forget about Petard early last year before he got injured. He was actually the most dangerous Melbourne forward that they had.
Collingwood supporters remember him well. Remember that big game very early in the year with
Everett measures the kick. Finds Grundy, who's had a lot of the ball. In fact, it's Matner this time. Grundy about 10 metres behind him. Matner drifting across, taking the mark. Sends it around the outer side wing. O'Keefe close to the boundary line.
They're good at playing like this, though, Sydney. Too much.
Taking the pace out of the game. Maloney running hard, getting across and knocking it out of bounds. And once again, this will bring Jamar into the action. Tim making the point about his tap work. He is, if not the best in the league, one of the best 2 or 3. Works in front, so good with his hands. He's deft. See that? He got it down to Maloney, but Maloney had nowhere to go.
Please head down, no chance.
They were the number 1 combination in the AFL last year, Jamar and Maloney, so they have a good understanding between the two of them.
This will be harder as Mumford works in front. Jamar again did brilliantly. Got it down in front. The kick comes down towards half forward. Petted. Nicely done. Jetta. Davey. Look at the run from Melbourne. Getting through Bennell. And he misses. Well, there's something about that end. Sydney squandered their chances. And now Melbourne have missed a couple.
Petard again, though. He's had 3 touches now in the early part of this game. And again, Jamar to Maloney, the stoppage.
And there'll be all sorts of theories about Pettit. Is it because he's too good at the moment or because he's fresh? All of that. That end's been something about that end all weekend, Dennis, that punt road end. It's been hard to score goals. Jetta doing well. Melbourne coming home hard. Here's Ricky. Yep. Oh! He is the super sub.
Where's he been?
Well, we know where he's been.
Why has he been there?
Green goes long. No one's there. And Everett takes the mark. The other thing about this weekend, Carlton came from behind at 3/4 time. Geelong came from behind. Adelaide came from behind. Dockers came from behind. All winners. And right now, Melbourne closing in on the Swans.
Here's Jetta on the outer side, going for distance. That's a towering kick. Big leap from Goods. Loose ball at the back. Jones seems to be okay. Came off with a shoulder injury in that 3rd term. Just approaching 3/4 time. The high ball missed initially by Davey. Ample time to recover. Then measures one back to the middle. Martin's away. Needs support. Again. He's pretty nimble, as we've said before, for a big guy, but an ordinary kick. Well done by Rivers. Stifled the bounce. Now kicks to half forward. In front is Dunn. Knocked away by Grundy. Dunn, the better recovery. Lays it off to Green. On his left foot, run down from behind by Matner. Oh, that was terrific. It needed to be done too. For a moment, Green, his eyes lit up. He thought that was going to be a score. But Matner really closed on him, lunged, and brought him to ground and wins the 3.
Again, though, when Melbourne broke off half-back, they had free players everywhere. Martin's kick put him back in trouble. That's out of bounds on the foot.
Yeah, against McVeigh. He stiffed there, McVeigh. Probably thought he had the mark, didn't he? And then it slipped through. So Watts, called to play on, goes with a high ball. It's not a great kick. It's going to take courage from everywhere, and it came from everywhere. Matner charges through, head down, and then controls the kick wide. McGlynn's fast. Tapscott's got to be careful here. McGlynn, good kick inside. Jack so good in that 3rd quarter. Running hard, delivering to Bolton. Yes! Jude's got tricks we didn't know he had. He's only ever kicked 3 goals in one of his 258 games.
That was great body work too on Bartram. He didn't use his hands. He just nudged him out of position.
So does he kick 3 for the 2nd time in his career? Good time to do it. He's been a huge second half. You got 3 goals for a bloke.
That's right. And you've got to love a bloke too who can actually embrace a new role in football, don't you? He was a key midfielder for them for a number of years. We know how courageous he's been, but today he's had to play a different role, and he's done it extremely well since half-time. But that was going all the way back to that kick from Jack Watson to the forward line. It was just a kick in hope, and that enabled Sydney to rebound.
Jude doing a head count there after making it better. Melbourne bearing down. They needed that steadying goal, the Swans. Wonderful mark. Steady kick. So they're back to a 2-goal lead. Trengove had the run of the ball. Over it is Martin. Was he pushed in the back? There's going to be a free kick to the man lowest of all, and that's Green. So Brad Green, the Melbourne captain, goes out wide, using the space now. This is Maloney. What a quarter he's had so far. Down towards half-court. Pennard again takes the mark. Well, the AFL might need to introduce a six-man award, like the NBL. Watt in the pocket. It's paid a mark.
He's quick, Jack Watts. He's really quick.
I'm just saying, be careful. Once he takes the mark, thought you were in the contest, so that was okay. Yep.
Okay, so
That's it.
sort of, but not exactly.
Not a body player, Jack Watts, but he's got terrific speed off the mark. Hasn't had a really productive afternoon, but he's a good finisher.
20 seconds.
This would be a lifter, wouldn't it? Quick response to Bolton's goal at the other end. Sharp angle. Kick is on the way, but too narrow. Puts it through for a minor score. Melbourne 9-15. Sydney 11-14. So the margin now 11 points.
Just stabbed at that one, not kicking right through the ball.
So McVeigh just to himself to get that extra distance, seeing so much of this all weekend, to get it outside the 50 to the boundary. With the forward press, that's been the go-to kick from the kickouts, hasn't it?
It is. They're quite happy to concede that, go close to the boundary line, cause another stoppage, get an opportunity to win the ball.
So still Mumford soldiers on. Martin's been good. We've had some good ruckmen out there today. All three of them have played well. Hanbury, McVeigh got it from Jack. O'Keefe kicks into the centre wing, and good strong mark with courage. Tapscott, he's had a wonderful debut.
That is great courage when you go back into the unknown like that, isn't it?
Well, you know what you're going to get from him for the rest of his career, don't you? And Melbourne fans would like that. Maloney's having a very big final term. He's had a good match. Kicks to Jura. Yes, he's got it. There was a bit of Jack Revolt about that mark. In a contest almost on the chest.
Hasn't Maloney's deep, long, penetrating kicking been important in this final term?
And how important Tapscott here, eh?
Oh, yeah, that is a courageous mark.
And the sort of mark, too, he opened himself right up, didn't he?
Right up.
Right up.
And what you're hoping then is one of your other defenders is at least trying to stop his man from getting into the contest.
They went to the same school, Trengove and Tapscott, in the same year. Prince Alfred and Adelaide. They'd be pretty happy with those two boys today, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So Jura's normally the most accurate of kicks. The pressure's high, and he's missed. And every shot just about in this quarter's gone to that side.
They're winning the one-on-one duels in this final term too, Melbourne, which is a great sign. 6-1 contested marks against Sydney.
Margin 10 points. Grundy to himself, and then outside the defensive 50. Kennedy at the back. Eventually, belatedly, got boot to ball. Green swoops on the loose ball. Right on the wing. Vital contest, this one. Bartram came up. Ran into Sumner, spills across to O'Keefe. He's walking it beyond the wing. Met there by Rivers, or is it McDonald? McDonald, and we'll have a ball up.
Seavey's on the ground now for the first time, and Mumford has come off, so Johnny Longmire's decided to pull the lever.
Yep, big effort by Shane Mumford too, against quality opposition. And of course, at various times with Martin, he had support, did Jamar. Jamar picks himself up, and he'll go now against a new rival, and that's Seavey.
Now he has to run him around to be really effective in this final term. We've already seen what Pettard's been able to do for Melbourne as their replacement player. That's a good start.
Wow, fresh is good.
So that was Reid on the boundary line behind the coaching staff. So Seavey immediately getting involved. Rowan kicks into Jeddah. Well played by the D's.
He just lacks a little bit of composure at this stage, Ron. The first thing he did was he put his head down as opposed to looking up, and he charged off then without really surveying what was ahead of him.
It's his 10th game. Seavey again. Bolton. It was his 250th Bolton when they got thrashed last year here. He's having a big 258th against the same team.
Grimes is back here free.
So they're going to tease him a bit here, Sydney, aren't they? So McVeigh from Kennedy, they can afford a slowish build-up.
That's good.
Found the space.
See, that's almost unforgivable, though, isn't it? The Melbourne players are sitting back there in a zone. They're not prepared, or they're not instructed, or they're not schooled in actually picking up a man. And look at this. He just drifts into that space. No one picks him up.
I reckon this is his first shot on goal, Byron Sumner. Now, he's Leroy Jetta's uncle.
Is that right?
I read that today. So he's got his nephew out there with him, who's played a bit more footy than him.
Shake the family tree and they all fall out.
So Sumner. What a big kick for the youngster. He struck it, and it's not going to be a goal. So chances missed at both ends, and a fair bit of that, particularly in the second half. 11-15, 9-16.
The ball pushed up here, though, Sydney. The press is on, so Melbourne are going to have to work really hard and cleverly to get the ball from this part of the ground.
Sumner, we saw him in the NAB Cup. He looks an exciting prospect.
Stay there.
Headed. Been everywhere. Fresh and running around. That's what you've got to do. He drives it up towards the wing. Jamar plays on immediately. Bale is off, confronted. Cuts back inside. Hand pass, pretty good. Dunn, Sylvia sold into trouble. Taken down by Bolton, back towards Dunn. CB scrambles after it. I think that's McGlynn in there.
Dived on it. Melbourne free kick. Dived on it, Ben McGlynn.
Oh, wow.
You dived on it.
Well, sometimes his strength can be a weakness, I guess. Jarrah! Okay. Missed his last one.
Here's the free kick against McGlynn. He did dive on the ball. Yeah, he did dive on the ball.
No doubting that, but you still admire it, don't you? I mean,
I'm not sure what he was supposed to do in terms of getting rid of the ball, though.
He didn't care. He was just going to dive on it. He's done that since he started playing footy, I'm sure. But Jarrah now, a chance to pull it back to under a goal. Right back in. In he comes. He's learned by his mistakes. Good footballers do, and he puts it through.
Had some faith in him then too, Melbourne. They kicked to a 2-on-1, but he just had the speed to burn off the defenders. Here he is, just takes off here. And when that kick left, I thought that Sydney player there, Matner, was actually going to be able to intercept, but it was just a beautifully weighted kick in there.
Sylvia, it's a great kick.
It was a great kick, yeah. No, and he actually kicks with real depth like Maloney. Do you know, here's that kick to Jarrah again, just a beautifully weighted kick.
Jarrah's played 10 games at the MCG, and each of those 10 games he's kicked multiple goals. So 2 today, keeping that average up. And you feel like it could be a key in the last few minutes of this game, don't you?
Tap.
And brilliant again out of the centre. Burnell's been good. Rides the bump, well played, and then takes them on. How good Maloney in this last quarter. Kicks forward. Matner just loses it. Burnell again. Jarrah, look away. Watts, heavy traffic. Coughed it up. Seaby, McVeigh. Bouncing ball. He's good, this Tapscott. And then goes bang. Watts can take this. Not quite. 3 to beat. Still Watts. Handball good. They'll be in front of Sylvia. Kicks it. Matner gets hold of it. Sylvia rides it. Too slow. Should have used the handball.
Oh,
Play on. And now Davey with a squeezy. Yep. Big Jamar. Wasn't that a free kick back there?
He played advantage.
Yeah. It was Bevan.
I mean, the players have to be aware if they're in congestion that they don't take the advantage. On this occasion, they took the advantage. Here we go. There's a free kick.
Gee.
Well, that's the rule, you know, and you have to be able to adapt to it quickly. But
Swans have been in front for 104 straight minutes. Chris Conley told us that Jamar can go forward and kick a goal before the game, but he doesn't there. Gee.
And they can put him forward confidently too if Martin can keep doing ruck work like we saw at the last centre bounce. I mean, that was just an exquisite tap with his left hand too.
Defence of Chris, he said he can take a mark forward and hopefully kick a goal. What a miss that was.
Matner to the outer side.
In the back.
Is that a shove? Apparently not. Melbourne supporters not happy with that. CB took the mark. Kicks along the wing. Hard against the boundary line. O'Keefe, punishing kick. Drifting back is Goods. He appeared to be pushed in the front. No free kick. After it goes Garland. He runs it across the boundary line. We've got a throw in.
Here's the push from Seavey on Martin. There you go. Forearm into the back. You can't do that.
No. You would have thought out there, just the two of them, it would have been easily spotted. Now this ball has been thumped back over the boundary line by Martin on the floor.
Came off his boot.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Martin's boot.
Okay.
Hey, we should mention the job that Garland has done on Goods after a really good start by Adam Goods this afternoon. He's really been able to keep him in check.
So O'Keefe hard against the fence. And this is going to be a difficult kick for him. Margin 4 points. We saw Jamar miss at the other end, but gee, Sydney missed some in the third quarter. And that's a pretty good kick. He had to get the goals away, trying to work it back left to right. It goes through for the behind. So watch this again.
And look at this. It's a fairly short boundary throw in, and look at Martin not going able to get to it. That's stiff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Seavey, well, he is fresh. Neither of these teams, Dennis, have actually won an opening round since 2005. Now, that was a good year for the Swans, 2005.
That's right.
Neither Melbourne or Sydney have been 1-0 in 6 seasons.
Burnell's come back onto the ground now, and he's free and he's fresh.
Rowan heard the umpire, not 15. Jones sets himself. The runners are with the Swans. Good tackle, Jones. Didn't overdo it. And then tries to burrow through and gets a little left foot out wide. Shaw running hard with Davey, and Shaw wants the boundary line.
It's been impressive this afternoon, Brunel, hasn't it?
Oh, very. A lot more poise today.
Yeah. No, they've been waiting for him to explode. I mean, this year might be the year that he becomes a real AFL player.
Holding, free kick, Melbourne.
Martin gets the free kick. Again, the boundary umpire having a bit of trouble getting much distance on that. It's always terrible if you're camped in front of the pack. The boundary throw in just clears your head, and it's the old between a rock and a hard place. They're bearing down on you. There goes the kick from Martin down towards half forward. Green goes back and takes the mark. Going into uncharted waters there, knows no other way. So the captain.
Well, Chara.
Oh, he's found some space too. The sun is the biggest problem. Well, it turned out to be Richards. He got there in time. That kick just hung in the air a moment too long. Jarrah initially getting some separation, but the run of Richards well timed. So a boundary throw in. Seavey and Jamar, they lock up behind the pack. Green once more over the shoulder, fisted away by Rowan, taken brilliantly by McDonald. Could have been taken high. Well, the other way. It was a fend off. So O'Keefe comes away. Driving kick. Rivers should mark. Going back on the 50.
That's a terrible kick from an experienced player.
He just blazed, didn't he, O'Keefe? It would have been better to find touch almost, wouldn't it?
Well, I think the players at that end of the ground, though, have the sun in their eyes, so it might be difficult for them to actually pick up players.
So Jeddah is cramped inside. Maloney, so good in this last quarter. Well done, Sumner. O'Keefe gets it back from Seavey. Rowan's kicked to centre wing. Melbourne with the numbers. Watson, Trengove, back to Grimes. Slow handball, good give by McDonald. Trengove is tied. Green, front spot, free kick. Who better to have it? That'll stop him.
Well, Mumford's actually back on the ground, so he didn't sub out.
I think it's Reid.
Reid has subbed out, okay.
Go back at that, Brad, you're right.
Because
here, Ryan.
So what are they going to try and get out of Mumford now, or Seavey? I mean, they're going to play. One of them is going to play deep forward, so you'd think it's probably going to be Seavey that camps in the goal square now that Mumford's come back onto the ground.
55 goals last year, top 6 in the Coleman, best and fairest, leading goal kicker, the skipper. And they can't buy a goal. They've had, I reckon, 5 set shots in this last quarter. Jamar missed the soda. Green, you'd back him from there most times. A 4-point game.
So Melbourne 2-6 in the turn. Very much like Sydney in the previous quarter. Kick to the outer side. Wing, terrific mark by the smallest man in the pack. Trengove in front. He's played a very good game. Forward of the wing, drives it down towards the pocket. Up in front, petted off hands, out of bounds, so we'll have a throw in.
So 23 now, Tringo. Just watch this mark again. A really strong mark just coming in from the side. 14 contested possessions and 4 clearances. So it's been a busy afternoon for him.
Mumford knocks it down in front. Smith hasn't had a lot of the footy. Pettit knocks it on. Once again, bustling in there. Maloney, and the ball goes out of bounds. A throw in.
They're good
points the difference. Melbourne coming strong.
Sorry, Dennis, I was just going to say, they're actually good at playing this sort of football, aren't they, Sydney? They don't mind a scramble like this.
Watts takes the tap. Well done by McVeigh. Just fended off, but they've got no one forward at the moment. So Garland back tracks. They change the angle. McDonald. Now Sylvia's a long kick. If he gets inside here, that's what he wants to do. Now he goes and bangs it towards half forward. Well done by Jack, but only as far as Bale. Tapscott really liked his game. Bang he goes. J-Mar, not quite. Green kicks the goal. The captain puts them in front. Again, J-Mar's ability to do contest going for, and Tapscott, it was a good kick actually.
It was a good kick to the top of the square. It wasn't too deep, and we know that Green is very clever by foot, but Sydney have just not been able to find any run off half back and actually clear the ball.
Tim, now they've got to score a goal.
Now they have to score the ball. They've pushed all their numbers up. They had the numbers there, but they weren't running and overlapping. They weren't able to hit a target off half back.
Sydney led for 111 minutes after taking the lead at the 3-minute mark. But that goal to Green, it required some courage. He puts it through. So Melbourne by 2 points. That had to come, really, because all the Sydney players were inside the defensive 50, and they weren't pinpointing the ball. They were just booting it out, and Melbourne had about 6
Maloney
waiting
again
across the ground. Going back, Sydney in numbers there. Eventually it finishes up with Grundy, a little chip to the wing, setting Shaw a task, and he was equal to it. Brilliantly played. Knocked it on to Bolton. Bolton down towards the pocket looking for Seavey. Fished it away down there by Rivers. Well played initially by Rowan across half-back. He won the first ball and set it up.
Oh, Tapscott has got Shaw in the soft part too. He's coming straight off the ground, Reece Shaw. Completely open on that occasion. It was good, smart play.
So Hanbury down low. Sylvia, the initial tackler. So, you know, the Demons have not been in the 8 since 2006. If they win tonight, they're there for the first time in a long, long stretch. We know they haven't been 1-0 since 05, and neither have Sydney. Trengove couldn't quite. Well done by the Swans. O'Keefe hacks it forward. Goods in the centre. Belted away. McVeigh's clever. He just couldn't get a handle on it.
I've got to say, you're assuming a fair bit, Bruce. You and I are the masters of the draw.
We were good at that, and then it'd just be alphabetical order, so we'd put him in front of S.
A boundary throw in. J-Mar tried to flick it behind. He was beaten there by Mumford. The kick comes from Hanbury towards the kick-off line. Getting back as Rivers tackled by CB Jard out of there. Kennedy got boot the ball right on the goal line. Rushed across by Jarrah. Oh, how about that? A point the difference. So
they've pushed all their numbers up now, Dennis. All the Sydney players are in their half. So for someone, I mean, Davey is made for these situations, though. He's a beautiful, penetrating kick. Here we go.
Short. Jones has got it. Not much movement up ahead. Green is probably the man you'd want to go to here, although he won't be involved here. Everett missed it, should have marked it. Knocked away by J-Mar. Gathered by O'Keefe. Kicks it down towards the pocket. Goods trying to help it on its way, and it goes out of bounds.
They push up again, Sydney, so the full ground press is on here. It'll be difficult for Melbourne to clear this.
Still a couple of minutes to go, obviously. Sydney pressing. Hanbury looking for the free. Jones so tight. Garland's been good. He did well to keep that in, actually, because he was on the wrong side. Green courageously. Everett in there, and Matner, and the ball up. Oh, how tense is this? It's not quite the last Saturday in September, but it's starting to feel a little bit.
What about this as your first game for premiership points?
Well, we saw Chris Scott, didn't we, Friday night?
He looks like he's standing at a bus stop.
Chris Scott had a 1-point win, didn't he, in his opener Friday night?
Yeah.
The horse has to wait. McVeigh looked for a free. Well done, Davey.
A hand in there just in the nick of time, Aaron Davies. So a boundary throw in. 1:40 remaining. Melbourne by a point. And this throw in right on the 50. Jamar has done a power of work. Mumford against him. It's exposed at the back. Ball lands to the side though. O'Keefe. High ball down towards full forward. Big leap at the back from CB Grimes. Looking for the boundary line. He knows the score. It's out of bounds. 1:28 to go. Clock stops. 84-83. Sydney have led for just about all day. Thrown in again. Jamar and Mumford. Mumford leads in the race. Chance for Bolton. Threw himself at the football. Falling to the ground. Maloney. Close to the goal line. Kennedy tried to wrestle it free. Bolton tackled and slung. Jumping in the air. Jack is taken to ground. Ball came back to him. An involuntary action will have a ball up. 5 metres out. Sydney didn't want to force a score. They want to win it off their own boot. So a bounce. Look at the numbers around the football. What a finish. Saw a thriller here on Friday night. What with the angle towards the boundary line. And it's across the line. We'll have a throw in. So 1:05 to go. Wait again as Sydney try and make a goal from this boundary throw in. Jamar will no doubt knock it down in front. Goods knew that. Arrived quickly, met solidly. And the ball is locked in. So under a minute to go, Bruce.
Well, this is set up now for Goods or somebody to come in over the top of the ruckman.
To see of humanity there, isn't it? Jamar over the top. O'Keefe! It's all square.
Bruce, I told you.
Well, round one, the last time there was a draw was in 1982, and I think Fitzroy were involved.
Well, listen to you. You've changed your tune.
I'm with you. Grimes is one last big play for somebody.
Now, Sydney have to work up the ground. They've got to get back quickly here.
The boundary line is everybody's friend at the moment. Jones back inside. Who dares wins. The ball comes to Sylvia against the flow. He's got Swans around him everywhere. Jack, can Sydney force it forward? It's about where it was on that last Saturday in September. Free kick, one last run. Can Bartram move it quickly enough? They can transition the footy, we know that. Out wide. Jetta's been cramped in this last quarter. The clock's the enemy. The clock's going to beat them. We've got a draw again at the G. You picked it, Dennis.
It's just what we've done, Bruce. What a great game of footy, eh? The super sub. His influence pronounced early in this term. $11-18 apiece. Draw at the MCG Sunday round one.
Great stuff. It was a great game from the word go that got better and better and better. It's one of those feelings. I mean, who feels like they've won the points?
Well, at this time of the season, it's better than losing.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. Look, you're not going to be happy to come away without the 4 points, but you've got to be a little bit happy to come away with 2 points and not none.
Down to Brad Green, the captain, who socked a goal through. Here's Richo.
Well, Greenie, you got in front there, but then the ball was just stuck in that back 50 of yours. It was always going to be tough. They just had to get that ball through.
Yeah, it was, to hit the lead and work our way back in the game was, super, and all credit to our boys. But, really disappointing in the end. But, we come away with a draw.
Have you ever played in a draw before?
No, it's the first one, so it's it's a bit of a weird feeling.
Yeah, it is. Well, Melbourne supporter threw his hat over the fence there before. He wasn't happy, but there were some good signs there today. Ricky Pettard came on as a sub and gave you a lift at the start of that last quarter. Yeah,
that's the thing about the sub. I think if you use it properly and they come on and give you a bit of a spark like he did was great.
What else did you see today that you liked going forward?
Yeah, I thought Trengove was good. Beamer out of the middle. You know, I think we won first possession in contested footy, which is always tough against the Swans. So, you know, that's not too bad of a start.
Oh, thanks again, Braden. I don't know what to say, mate. She's a bad feeling, the draw.
It's shattering a bit, but that's why it goes.
Cheers, mate.
As we said, though, if you get the 2 points today, that's better than none at all. It takes at least the short-term percentage out of the equation. Six-man award. It would be the 22nd man as far as footy's concerned. I think Ricky Pettit might have got a vote or two this afternoon. It's a draw at the MCG. Melbourne 11-18, Sydney 11-18. Great season starter, 84 apiece.